So I've started out working with the light blue, and I've drawstring cast on circularly the whole 29 pegs, and then I went ahead and E-wrapped one row. So I decided to go with the worsted yarn because I couldn't find a bulky in all the colors that I needed, and so I've doubled up the strands to counteract the fact I couldn't find the color I needed in bulky yarn. So what I want to do is start off with E-wrapping 14 pegs. And you'll want to go ahead and toss those over. Now we want to go ahead and we want to change colors to the purple color, and we're using double strands there, and then you're going to E-wrap 15 pegs. And after we do this, I'll begin to show you a technique that keeps you from having to do large patches of color like this flat. You can start doing it circularly, and you don't have to do this technique. You can just do the whole thing flat if you'd like, but I'll show you how to go about it. Go ahead and toss the bottom loops over. We're going to have to do this color change a little differently than when we will do the color change on the body. And so we're going to have an extra row in here that we need to keep up with, but we even them out. So again, you can choose to work flat from here if you want. So go ahead and pick up your purple and E-wrap 15 in the direction that you just came from. This is the bottom half of the head, so we're working on the area that won't be seen that much anyway. Let's go ahead and toss the bottom loops over. And if you're wondering how to get the looms that I'm working with on this project, I'll make sure to put a link to the website of where I purchased these looms below in the info box. Okay, here's where we're going to start our technique. And here's how you connect them. So what you want to do is you want to pull your light blue up underneath your purple, and then you want to E-wrap the 14. Now you'll want to pick up your purple and E-wrap 15 pegs to the other side to meet up with the light blue. Again, you'll want to take and pull the light blue up underneath the purple. And that's the way to keep in mind. You're constantly pulling the light blue up under the purple. Now go ahead and E-wrap 14 pegs. Now you'll want to pick up your your purple, and then you want to E-wrap 15 pegs to meet back up with your light blue on the other side. Again, you'll want to cross the blue up under the purple and then E-wrap 14. Go ahead and pick your purple up and E-wrap 15 pegs to the other side to meet back up with your blue again. And at this point you want to kind of get a general idea of how many rows you're done. We're going after 6 total rows. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 5 rows, and then we're going to count the other side. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 rows on each side. And when we take that back, it'll make it 6 rows for the purple side. So go ahead and E-wrap your 15 in your purple, which will make 6 rows on the back half. Again, cross your light blue underneath your purple. And E-wrap your light blue 14 pegs. Now this is your last E-wrap with both of them. At this point you're going to be purling next. And this purl is going to make it where it stands straight up from after you draw a string. It's going to give it the turtle body effect. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to purl the 15 pegs, going back the direction you came and meeting up with that blue. Okay, now we're going to start picking back up our light blue. Again, we want to cross underneath the purple with your light blue, and then you want to purl 14. Okay, and you'll want to pick up your purple and E-wrap 15 pegs back to the other side so that you meet up with your blue. Okay, you want to go ahead and snip and tie off your light blue because we're done with it for now. And then after that, you'll want to do 3 rows of the purple circular. So you'll just want to E-wrap 3 rows total, and you want to go ahead and pause the video to complete those 3 rows. Okay, I've done my 3 rows of E-wrap, and I did a 4th row but stopped just 2 before my original starting point. And the reason being is I looked at my increased pattern and noticed that it was offset. And sometimes you might find this. If it's offset and it goes, the eye lines goes off center because you're doing the eye section that's paler, then you just kind of take a gauge, looking at it. There's your starting and there's your ending point over here, which should have been 14 pegs. And you look at it, well, we decided that there was 4 pegs used for each eye with 2 spaces in between and 4 pegs for the navy, the nose. And I originally had us starting here and doing 2 purple, 4 blue, light blue, 2 purple, 4 navy, 2 purple, and 4 light blue. Now, as you can see, that puts us way off from our center point. So I'm going to need to go in and I'm going to need to rewrite the pattern. And for my 10th row, I'll need to stop just 2 before our starting point. And when you do that, then you have 4, 2, 4, 2, and 4. So we can move it over one more. So we can E-wrap that purple one more time and toss it over. So for us to be perfectly even, we're going to be starting 1 purple before the starting point to do our eyes. So at this point we're going to change colors. Okay, we're not going to cut this color. We're going to keep both on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to E-wrap 4 on the next 4 pegs in the light blue. Then we're going to reach back behind and pull up and E-wrap 2. Now we're going to want to tie in our navy, which is our nose. And at this point you're going to pick up your navy and you're going to E-wrap the next 4. And then you're going to pick up underneath the navy and pick up your purple, E-wrap 2, then pick up under your navy and your purple, pick up your light blue, and E-wrap 4. And there's your eye section we've just started on. Now you're going to pick up your purple and it's going to be over your blue, and you're going to knit all the way back to the other side. You're going to E-wrap back all the way to the other side and then stop when you get to your blue here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. And we're going to work back the other direction. Back to our other part. And this will get us started on the back and forth, making sure that we add in the eye section. Again, you can do this flat the whole time and just sew up the side without doing this technique. You don't have to do all this fancy stuff. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to pick up the blue. Where is it? Blue. Here it is. You're going to pick up the blue, and you're going to E-wrap the 4. Then you're going to pick up the purple, and you're going to go over the blue. You're going to pick up the navy. You're going to pick up that navy, and you're going to go up and under the purple. Because you're wanting to make sure that all those colors stay connected, so you don't have to sew so much up later. Then you take and pick up the blue and pull the purple up underneath. E-wrap 2. And then pick back up the blue. And E-wrap the 4. Now, we are going to have to actually sew up the side of the head with this. So, what you want to do now is start E-wrapping the 4 back. Pick up the purple and wrap it around the blue. And then pick up the navy and wrap around. And because we want the nose to puff out a little bit, this is a section where we're going to do 5 short rows. So there's row 1, here's row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5. I'm still getting used to these looms, so my stitches are actually a little tighter than I like. Okay, there's 5. Now, we're going to pick up and go over the navy this time. E-wrap 2. We're going to pick up and we're going to go under both the navy and the purple. Okay, now pick up your purple, and and work your way all the way to the other side. Now come back the direction you came. Stop when you hit your blue. Okay. At this point we are switching up, pulling up our light blue up underneath our purple, and we're going to E-wrap 3. Then pick up our purple and E-wrap 3. And then we're going to take our navy and pull it up underneath that purple and wrap the next 4 pegs. At this point we are done with our navy, so go ahead and snip the end. Move it to the side. And then you can go ahead and knot it off. And E-wrap 3. Then pick back up your blue and E-wrap 3. Then E-wrap 2. Take this and E-wrap all the way over and overlap 1 blue. Then you're going to pull that up, and then you're going to E-wrap those last 2. Snip your end and get rid of your light blue, and then you'll want to tie off. Okay, and then take it back to the starting point. Now, there's a trick to go in and tighten up all these loose ends in here and make it all nice and snug. Now, if you were doing an actual garment out of this, I wouldn't suggest doing it, but because this is a stuffed animal and we're going to be stuffing it, it's going to be okay. So I'm going to show you how to go in and tighten all that up to where it'll be nice and snug when you see the other side of it. But you should have your eye area and your nose. At this point, you'll want to just continue E-wrapping circularly for 8 rows, and then I will go from there. So go ahead and pause the video and do 8 rows. Okay, we've finished our 8 rows, and as you can see where the eye area is on both. And you can see the little bulge in the nose, and you're going to sew that area up later on. But what we're fixing to do is, you can just do a regular drawstring cast off, but I don't want a whole lot of bulk on top of the head. I want it smoother. So what I'm going to do is move every other peg over and toss the bottom loop over the top. And this should take it down to half. And what this will do is, when it takes it down to half, it will remove a lot of that extra bulk that you get with the drawstring cast off. Okay. At this point, you're going to snip you a long tail and take your needle and do the drawstring cast off. All the way around. Okay, before we drawstring that together, I'm going to show you a trick. We have some tie-ups up here. Now, what we want to do to tighten this up is, we want to find our very top one. We want to fold it under the next one. And then we want to take and fold it back and under and back and under and back and under. What this does is, it tightens up those loose areas. And then what you want to do, since we have this double stranded, you go in and you tie it off on your initial tie-in there. Now, when you turn it right side out, it should be more snug. Through there, you shouldn't see near as much stretch. Now, naturally, that side's going to have to be sewn up. And you're going to need to sew up your nose area, which is not going to take much. Now, what you want to do is drawstring it together. And then you'll want to tie it off at the top. And you'll end up stuffing at the bottom. Go ahead and tie off the top. And there's a reason I cut such a long tail. It's going to be for sewing. So snip your end. You might want to take your crochet hook, go up in there and pull through. Now, I would suggest go ahead and sew up your nose area and then sew up this eye area here. And then the next thing you want to do is stuff it full and close up the bottom. Now I'll show how to kind of close up the nose area because that might not make any sense. But what we want to do is take and I'll shove that up in there. What you want to do is take your side edges, go to the next section and sew it. And what that short row allowed, and you may have to go through the same stitch more times because you had the extra rows that you added to make the nose puff out when you stuff it. So keep that in mind. And then you can take that through and go to the other side without having to cut the string. And sew up the other side. And pull that a little tighter. And then you'll want to knot that off. Snip the end. And pull that in through. And then the last thing you'll want to do is sew that edge together and stuff, and then close up and drawstring it. And you should have something that looks like a turtle's body when you're done. And then we will get started on the ears. So go ahead and pause the video and complete the base of the head, and then we'll start on the ears. Okay, this is what your head should look like when it's done, and I know it doesn't quite look right yet, but we have to add the ears. And so what we're doing is I've gone ahead and I've done a drawstring cast on in purple on 12 pegs. And if you've done the miniature, you probably already have this small size, but you can use the bigger loom to do this. And so what I've done after I did my drawstring cast on is I E-wrapped 6 in purple, changed to lavender, and E-wrapped 6. And I've already done a couple of rows, and I'll show you how to go about it. So we're going to start on this end, and we're going to E-wrap 6 in the lavender. Then you're going to pick the purple up, pull it under the lavender and over, and E-wrap 6 in the purple. Then you're going to take the purple and E-wrap 6 back. Then you're going to go and you're going to just pick up that lavender and make sure that the purple is sitting on top of that lavender. And this should straighten your yarns back out. So they should crisscross one row and then straighten back out the second row. And then go ahead and E-wrap the 6. Now, I originally had a total of 11 rows for my ear, but when I looked at my head and I looked at the ear size, and I decided I needed to do more than that. I needed to double that. And so I'm doing 20 rows instead of a total of 11 rows. And so what I want to do after I've completed that many rows to make sure that my ears were big enough is to finish up my last row. Go ahead and do the row as normal. Then snip the end. Tie it off with the purple. Then E-wrap the rest of the way. Then at this point, cut your tail, and you'll want to thread your needle and drawstring cast off. I usually like to go to the opposite end to do it. Okay, so we've drawstring casted off that, and then we want to sew up the side, right down the side, like that. Close up our ear. And the benefit of doing it like this flat is that it naturally feels shorter on that end, which puts a natural curve to the ear. So you don't have to worry about putting a curve to it. You don't have to do any fancy stitching. You just do it flat and it puts a natural curve in. So it's as simple as that. Now all you need to do is go in and sew down your ear. Okay. And if you want there to be a more dramatic curve, pull your stitching. That gives you the dramatic curve. Now we want to do that nice fold over to give the ears even more. So you want to sew your sides together at this point, like this at the base. And I'd say about an inch above the bottom will do it. And as you can see, you've just done the fold over. So that when you sew it on, you sew it on to the base, and you'll see there's 1, 2, 3. You'll want to sew it in between that third one, and you'll want to sew it right in the line of the eye area. And there's your ears. So you want to count 3 columns over and line it up with that eye area and sew it right in there. And to make the other ear, you simply want to, after you do your drawstring cast on, I'll show you. You do your drawstring cast on of 12. What you'll want to do is you'll want to make the first 6 your lavender, and the last 6 is going to need to be your purple. But to make it easier, because you do want your base to be purple, go ahead and E-wrap a full row. And this will be your opposite ear, because you want the pink on the correct side when you flip it over to do that curvature. And still count this as 1 row so that you have a total of 20. Okay, now you want to go back 6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then add your lavender back in. And then do just like we did before, back and forth with your color change. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So at this point, keep your going back and forth, following lavender, purple, purple, lavender, for a total of 20 rows, and then draw a string cast off, and then sew down the seam, close up the end about 1.5 inches to 1 inch from the bottom, and then you're going to count 3 columns, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to sew it right there lined up with that. And that's how you finish the head off. So go ahead and pause the video and complete your ears and sew them in, and go to part 5 for the body and the arms and legs and the assembly of those.